This movie was supposedly made for crazy people to watch, yet it unexpectedly became one of the world's top 10 suspense masterpieces and even ended up as a case study for psychologists. This is Shutter Island, the suspense classic rated 8.2 by 1.6 million viewers. The story takes place at a psychiatric hospital on an isolated island. Here, 67 criminally insane inmates are locked away. But even with armed guards watching 24/7, a female patient mysteriously vanished. Making matters worse, this woman named Rachel had killed her own 3 children with her bare hands. To prevent her from killing again, federal authorities sent their most experienced Marshal Teddy to investigate, along with Chuck, a new partner from the Seattle office. The two felt strangely familiar when they first met, but Teddy had no time to think about it because this psychiatric hospital was seriously creepy. Not only were there hundreds of guards stationed here with electrified walls everywhere, but the only exit had 2 iron gates. And that's not all. The moment they stepped onto the island, the warden demanded they surrender their guns. Teddy insisted federal agents must keep their weapons while investigating, but the warden shut him down immediately.
Gentlemen, you will not get through this gate with your firearms.
He stressed that according to federal prison law, the warden has supreme administrative authority. With no choice, Teddy had to hand over his gun. This didn't feel like an investigation at all. It felt like entering a prison. Next, the warden explained that Ward A on the right for male patients and Ward B on the left for female patients were freely accessible, but the military fortress Ward C in the back housed the most dangerous patients. Entry required the warden's accompaniment and Dr. Cawley's written approval. On the way to meet Dr. Cawley, Teddy noticed all the patients staring at him. Some smiled friendly, some cowered in fear, and one female patient even made a shushing gesture at him, as if warning him of approaching danger. These strange interactions seemed to hint that the island was hiding unspeakable secrets. Soon they were brought to Dr. Cawley's office. Teddy noticed the hand-drawn pictures on the wall looked particularly disturbing. Cawley volunteered that these were actual treatment plans for mental illness.
We drove screws into their brains, we submerged them in icy water until they lost consciousness or even drowned.
And now?
We treat them, try to heal, try to cure.
Though Cawley claimed they now used medication and therapy, Teddy was deeply skeptical. The missing female patient, Rachel, was full of suspicious details. Her room window was sealed with iron mesh. The only exit had 24-hour supervision, and she wasn't even wearing shoes. Forget escaping. Just walking on the rocky terrain would be tough. All evidence pointed to Rachel never having escaped, but Cawley refused to admit it, his eyes darting away as he tried to leave. Just then, Teddy found a note under the floorboards behind the bed that read, "Who is the 67th patient?" Cawley instantly tensed up. With years of investigative experience, Teddy sensed something was wrong with this note, but clearly he wouldn't get the truth from Cawley. So he decided to question other staff members.
Doctor, we're gonna need access to the personnel files of all the medical staff, the nurses, the guards, the orderlies, anyone who was working there.
We'll take your request under consideration.
This is not a request, Doctor. This is a federal facility and a dangerous prisoner.
Patient.
Patient has escaped now. You will comply.
All I can say is I'll see what I can do.
Under Teddy's firm stance, Cawley finally agreed to hold an all-staff meeting after dinner. Before that, Teddy and the warden searched the only possible hiding place on the island, the rocky shores. But strangely, the guards were either slacking off or lying around listlessly, as if nobody cared about this search. Only the warden gave a reasonable analysis. He said swimming from here to the nearest land would be 17,000 meters through ice-cold water. Even if someone overcame all that, the fierce waves would wash any person or corpse back to shore. Teddy didn't disagree, but thought the female patient might be hiding in caves beyond the rocks. The warden countered,
"The base of those cliffs are covered in the poison ivy, live oak, sumac, 1,000 plants with thorns as big as my dick. You said yourself, Marshal, she's got no shoes."
The conclusion? The female patient couldn't have escaped from here. However, Teddy still noticed something wrong. There were armed patrols at the lighthouse across the way. The warden claimed the lighthouse was abandoned, now just a sewage treatment facility, and had already been searched. Then he hastily ended the search, citing darkness. But that lighthouse was deeply etched in Teddy's mind. After dinner, Teddy and Chuck questioned all the staff. Among them, a young man on night duty had shifty eyes. Teddy, skilled in interrogation, immediately jumped on it.
Tell me the truth.
I maybe went to the bathroom.
What? You breached protocol, Christ.
I wasn't gone more than a minute.
And 1 minute was enough for someone to disappear. Following this lead, Teddy asked about any unusual behavior before the patient vanished. A pretty nurse said that night the patient's primary doctor, Sheehan, had conducted a therapy session in her room. But when Teddy asked about Sheehan's whereabouts, he was told the doctor had taken the morning ferry for vacation.
You're in a state of lockdown. A dangerous patient has escaped, and you let her primary doctor leave on vacation?
Of course, he's a doctor.
Do you have the phone number for where
He's gone.
But unfortunately, the phone lines were down due to the storm. They had to temporarily abandon this lead, though the patient's disappearance was definitely connected to Dr. Sheehan. After leaving the room, Kali invited them to his home for a drink to relax. Little did they know this seemingly kind invitation was actually for a psychological experiment, and the unsuspecting Teddy followed along. The interior was extremely luxurious, a stark contrast to the gloomy psychiatric hospital. As Teddy looked around, classical music from the phonograph unknowingly awakened fragments of Teddy's war memories. With the music came another important character, German psychiatrist Dr. Naring. He and Kali were both attending physicians, just with different treatment methods. At their first meeting, Naring threw many psychological test questions at Teddy. He was surprised to find Teddy had extremely strong psychological defenses, as if deliberately hiding something deep inside. The continuous questioning made Teddy completely lose patience. He hadn't traveled all this way to investigate a missing person case just to make small talk, so he directly demanded to see the files on the female patient and Dr. Sheehan. But Naring absolutely refused. The two erupted in argument.
Who the hell is in charge here anyway, huh? Huh?